And now for something different altogether. I'd like to invite the moderator of our next panel, Dr. Gal Harari, the CTO of DDR&D MAFAT. Please, Dr. Harari. Thank you. And Dr. Harari is going to host a panel about the critical role of defense industries in national defense. Dr. Harari, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Roy. I'd like to welcome our distinguished guest, Brigadier General Eytan Eshel of IAI. Yaniv Shnieder, General Manager at Rafael's TLV and R&D Center. And Friedman, VP of Innovation from Elbit Systems. So thank you all for inviting us and joining us at this conference. Today we'd like to explore the role of the big defense companies at the defense tech ecosystem. In particular, how to bring new kind of disruptive innovation into the defense. We have seen previously the trend of larger and larger funds invested nowadays in the private funds invested in defense. And I would like to explore with you how exactly can you harness it for the benefits of large systems that need to be deployed for many years, including service and survival through times, even when it's not so economic in the future. So with that, I would like to ask you guys to give an example, whether it's successful or unsuccessful, of attempt for disruptive technology from outside of the organization or outside of the merger and acquisition channels. So Eytan, let's start with you.
Okay, just a few words about myself. I'm a CTO of IAI for the last 3 years. And I used to be in MAFAT, head of R&D, and for many years in MAFAT, later on vice president in Elbit, and now CTO EVP in IAI. So my perspective is seeing it from both sides, from the side of the needs of the defense, from the side of MAFAT, and from the industry. And when you want to seek for emerging technology, quick solution, with the agile company, then you look for solutions that would come maybe from the academics, but most likely it would come from the startup ecosystem. So we establish mechanism to work with the startups, our innovation center, accelerators, and so. And giving an example, when we look for a long endurance drone, vertical takeoff and landing, that we needed, and we saw it as a gap in the battlefield and for the future battlefield. We looked through our channels, look for startup solution, and we identified the company that will fit to our needs, that goes along and meets the needs of the future battlefield, meets the needs of long endurance. We set up the engineering parameters that needed, and we work with them in parallel, in the commercial side, to have a contact in the commercial side regarding the defense needs, and also in the engineering side in order to evaluate the solution. And now we are in a position to bring a solution for really long endurance, few hours of drone that will participate in the campaign for future needs. And this is one example with the destructive technology. We don't know that there exists such a solution for drones. And another is we look on the huge amount of data that we are collecting from satellites, and Avi Berger talked before, and we see that it's growing dramatically, and we saw it from our mission aircraft, from our UAV, and the need to go to AI technology that we interpreted this data and bring the targets out of this huge mass of data, both us again look for AI company, and this we found in the civilian market, and we brought them the huge data that we have, and now we have also a vector that will go from this civilian company to our needs. and bring it. It starts with technology, looking for AI that interpreted this huge amount of data and create the targets that we can disseminate to the user. So these are two examples that we brought and we are very proud of.
Thank you, Eytan. Yaniv.
Hi. Let me first introduce myself. I'm Yaniv Shnieder. These days I founded and now the manager of the TLV R&D Center of Rafael. It's a special R&D center because because he's located in the center to be engaged with startups, and the DNA of the organization is similar, and it's capable of working in the dynamics and character of a startup. I would like to mention an example that I think did cross a long way with Rafael. I'm talking about Wonder Robotics. Wonder Robotics is a startup that we've initiated a POC with the company in part of a large project that was supposed to be in Rafael. And we looked for a company that will fill a gap in the performance of the whole system. And this startup was demonstrating a very good capability of landing in an unknown environment and other capabilities. And as part of Rafael Open Innovation Strategy, there is a POC that can be done with a startup funded by Rafael with no commitment, which enabled the startup to collaborate with Rafael. And because of the success of the collaboration, the RDC, which is an investment vehicle that is collaboration between Rafael and Elron, RDC invested in Wonder Robotics. And these days, Wonder Robotics is one of the major players in the AI autopilot of drones. And he's collaborated with many large-scale projects, not only with Rafael, also with other industries. So I think this is a good way of collaboration between a startup and a prime. The prime helps the startup with the design partnership, the collaboration within a project, and also leaves the responsibility and the non-commitment of the startup for Rafael for other projects if the startup wants to do.
Thank you, Yaniv. Eli.
Yes, hi, good morning. The name is Friedman. I'm VP for Innovation at Elbit Systems. At the corporate level, report to the CTO of Elbit. I've been in this position for about 2.5 years, dealing mostly with connecting the outside technology with Elbit and also the entrepreneurs inside of Elbit to work with the outside world. Prior to that, Eytan brought me to MAFAT. I'm also an IDF guy for about 30 years service. I think if I was asked this question about 2 years ago, I probably would say that if you are a young startup, you better find your market in the civilian world and go and confront those VCs that will take you there as fast as you can. But now, and looking at this summit, and what is happening also in Israel, not only in Israel, the possibilities that you can kickstart a startup company only in the defense sector is very wide. We see it all over. A lot of announcements of new venture capitals also in Israel today. And this is an opportunity that us, the defense industries, need to know how to take. And in that sense, I think, Gal, we are working together quite a lot with startup companies that are part of our portfolio. We are pivoting now some of the startups, some of them, as Eytan said, in the drone industry, some of them in the mapping and navigation, pivoting them now to be more concentrated in the defense sector, to give solutions even now while war, because of the need, and actually because of the opportunities, not only for the governmental money, but also for the civilian one. So I will not state the names of the companies, but when you go outside, you will meet Gad and Omri, and you will ask them.
Thank you, Eli. Just a quick question. Do you see these startups also merge as system houses, or do you see like another Anduril coming up in the coming years?
Okay, there will be other underreels and Palantirs, of course. But frankly speaking, probably not all of them will go so. And when you are a startup company that is developing a very advanced sensor, you need this housing, you need this design partner, you need this industry that can support you while you are in development, and even more 20 years later in the maintenance. So when we want to sell to the IDF, we understand the requirements of the armies around the world, and we understand that the startup company now probably does not think about the supply chain in 10 years from now. So what the industry needs to give to those startup companies is exactly that. The ability to look 10 years ahead to see how they will still make profit from their products.
Okay, thank you. So you have established that there are a lot of opportunities out there, both of technological depth. There are hungry entrepreneurs, investors that are willing to risk their funds and get into the defense tech. What mechanisms do you have in your companies that allow to ride this wave and to partner with you?
Yes, we looked at the ecosystem of the startup, and we established our innovation center of II at the center of Tel Aviv, in Midtown. And this is the center of accelerators that comes within II for entrepreneurs from II and for merging and matching with the startups. And enabling the startups working with our engineer and enabling them our facilities. Test facilities and so on, set up the proof of concept that they need to meet and the goal that they need to meet, and escort them with a big company with the real needs that we are taking them with us, bring a win-win solution, because we are not seeking for equity in the startups. We are seeking for technology that will go to the defense side. And most of the startups come from the dual-use field. So we are working with the tens of startups, over 40 startups that we worked already, and it's it worked perfectly because we are taking the technology that we need for the gaps that we find in the defense system, and they can take it for their needs in the commercial market for others. So answering your previous question, also yes, we see startups that enjoy from building a really very sophisticated AI capabilities due to the data that we enable them, and they can grow up. And we created and we looked continuously for emerging technology, working with the academics. We set up accelerators in Israel and in the US and in India and many other places, in collaboration with other accelerators. And we found out it is really a win-win solution that we lead them to the goals that we see in the defense, and this enables them also to continue working on the other side that they see in the dual-use domain.
Thank you, Eytan. Yaniv?
I will continue what I've started to talk about earlier. As part of Rafael's innovation strategy, it has an internal innovation strategy which takes internal funding, and comes to the engineers inside Rafael and asks them for if they have some innovation ideas, innovational for next-gen technologies. But it also have a very advanced open innovation strategy. I talked about the POC, which is a funded first introduction, first engagement with the startup. But if the POC is succeeding and Rafael and the startup find it a good relationship, and it has good potential in some business cases, so Rafael deepens the engagement, and it has like an MVP stage, again funded by Rafael, and then the collaboration goes even deeper. As I mentioned before, Rafael has R&D centers. My TLV center, there are others in Beersheba, in Jerusalem, and also in the north, as part of the Rafael campus in the north. And these innovation centers, they are the DNA, the genes are to collaborate with startups and to engage correctly, and they tend to look at the the whole systematic view, not only the deep tech perspective, which is common inside Rafael. And as part of the MVP, there are 2 stages of MVP. The engagement goes deeper. And the engagement starts with engineers talk and all the engineering consideration, but there is also business units from within Rafael that helps to connect and to engage with the startups to fulfill the need of these business units.
Thank you. Just a quick question about that. What happens if an engineer from Rafael has a good idea, and do you see an opportunity for it to evolve outside of Rafael, for example?
Yeah. As I mentioned before, another advantage of collaborating with Rafael is RDC, is the investment engine that is the collaboration between Rafael and L1 Ventures. It's an actual venture capital, and if there is a good idea that grows up from within Rafael, it can get invested outside from RDC and grow by its own. A common example is Given Imaging, which grows from within Rafael, but there are other companies that grew.
Thank you. Eli.
Yes, I think it is all about people, and it is all about connecting people. Elbit is a global company. We have about 19,000 employees and about 9,000 engineers or other academics inside of Elbit. We understood from the beginning that if we want to make a good contact between the startups, we need to start with the engineers inside of the company. So we have established some routes in which we expose all of Elbit monthly or quarterly in sessions that are virtual on the net, and that we have the opportunities to show all of our engineers those initiatives that we believe. So we can screen about 400 companies a year. 10% of them go out and have direct contact with the division, and about 2% are going to the dealing with Elbit, POCs, as you mentioned, with MAFAT also and such. So this funnel of about 2% dealing is actually numbers that are common all over the world, but even in the defense tech, which was supposed to be even lower or smaller, these are the numbers. So when we find the correct professional guy inside of Elbit, he would probably maybe forgot already what the startup is thinking ahead, and some of it is very, very beneficial for the startup companies.
Thank you. So, given the special nature of the defense tech ecosystem, which is defense, it is also regulated by the Ministry of Defense and other agencies within Israel. What do you think the role of the Ministry of Defense within this market? What works well? What could work better? So, Eytan.
Yes, thank you. I go back to what we created in II and give it as an example. We created, as I said before, the Innovation Center. It's a house for entrepreneurs from II and also collaboration with startups. So what I can recommend to MAFAT, and we have an excellent experience while you put your elite program, Talpiot and Psagot, in one of the cohort during Iron Sword, and it's accelerated dramatically few of the programs that we were working on during the Iron Sword and push it to the fields. So what I recommend is that iMode, through MAFAT, will be part of it. We will be part of the selection that we are doing with the dual-use technology and with the entrepreneurs from II. And we're part of the demo day that we are creating, and being able to be one of the stakeholders that will decide whether to take it forward in the defense, and while we leave space and kind of freedom for the companies to work on the dual use to the other market that give. And we are putting the budget, we are putting the resource, so we don't need any external resource for it. We have enough resource, and we put really a significant resource in this area of innovation, and putting MAFAT as a partner, as coming along with us, give a strength by setting the right need, the right goals and the right challenges that we can bring to the teams and to work on it. So right from the beginning, you can influence. You did it in few times, but maybe we can take it systematically forward, not only in Israel, also to the programs that we are creating internationally. And I think this will give strength because not all the wisdom is in Israel, most of it, yes, but we can find also in the US and some other places, and bringing MAFAT along with us can give really fruits and benefit to the programs and also to MAFAT and to the needs of the defense services.
Thank you, Yaniv.
Yeah. First, when I read the question ahead, my first thoughts were that the MOD and MAFAT, I'm familiar with what MAFAT does in the past years, and it has a lot of programs and ways for startup to connect with the defense sector. It was not invested this year for this ceremony. It exists a lot of years, and there are a lot of startups that are engaged, and I'm familiar with a few of them. And I think a startup, because it's very focused on a specific problem, in our perspective, in the defense perspective, it's only a small part of a big solution that needs to be done. I wanted to share about what I'm familiar again with what MAFAT did, the integration lab, for example, in the soy, that helps startup with that solve small part of a big problem to engage with other companies.
Perhaps you could tell what is soy for those who are not familiar.
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know how to represent it exactly, but again, it's like a solution that involves autonomous machines that collaborate together, and for this kind of solution, you must have a lab that enables, if you want to connect between few companies together, you must have an integration lab. And what MAFAT did was to build one. And this enabled small startups to be collaborating with other big industries as part of a solution. And for the future, I think that the more startups that will try to be part of the defense tech sector in Israel, there will be a more need for legal help and also collaborative help from within MAFAT to solve the immediate problems of small startups. The big organization has its own capabilities inside, and for the small companies, there is a need to someone who can escort them and help them in a lot of crossroads that they will be part of.
Thank you, Yaniv.
I think, first of all, we can congratulate MOD for this summit. I think the fact that the head of MAFAT and the general manager of MOD is sitting in this room is a statement of the idea that I think Danny is working on it for several years, and it is now materialized to something that we can work with. You are doing very correctly in the connection with venture capitals. They are much faster in dealing with the startups. Even us understand that these are probably vehicles that will work much better and faster than the industry and the MOD can work. And still, the guys from MOD need to appreciate the fact that those startup companies are working from day to day, from month to month, from week to week. And the procedures that we have in funding them in such POCs and such are very, very challenging. And although there are those green routes that we are trying to work with, some of the POCs are done, and this is an advantage, are done with the industries, so the same path needs to go also when working with the industry. So to put it in short, the only thing that needs to be dealt with is how fast can the money come to the startup companies, because usually they see only 3 months ahead. And if we work with payment 90 days later, they are closed.
Thank you, Eli. So, just to put it, my comments about it. So, the way I see it now is that we have market forces within the defense business. I would call it free market forces within the defense, and we want to ride these forces. In order to do that, we need new kind of mechanisms. Namely, here it seems like becoming a design partner rather than the locomotive is one such new mechanism that is evolving. So perhaps you could explore further how are you as big companies are maturing your guys and training your guys to be better design partners to these entrepreneurs.
You know, when you take it from the beginning, when you choose the startup that you would like to work with, and it fits to your need, right from the beginning, if you put your engineering team working with them, direct them to the point, and the end, and it's also my remark to this summit, you don't want to end up with a boutique solution. You know, when you want to have a real influence on defense, you need to have it reliable, and part of, and to get a backup from a company that enable to maintain the solution and keep it for many years forward. So I think it's a perfect matching to come with this agile company, bright ideas, to put it as part of the system, the solution, and put it in the right elements that nobody so much like, reliability and maintainability, and also all the other side that make the system effective in the battlefield. So keep in mind, we talk about defense. At the end, we want a solution for the battlefield, a reliable solution, and Dr. Daniel Gold gave the example of Iron Dome, Iron Dome and Aero 3. On those systems, if you put within the system some smart solution as a sensor or so, it's supposed to be part of the system that give a reliable solution, immune solution that will keep the system for many years ahead. So I think the matching of a big company, as we represent over here, together with this very smart solution can come from the startup, and keep it in order, and in order to see it as a part of overall system of system, this is the right manner.
Thank you. Yaniv?
To be a good design partner, I believe you should have a systematic character. So if you want to collaborate with a startup, you must have a culture of a systematic view, but not only business-wise, also engineering-wise. And what Rafael built in the past years are these excellent centers, R&D centers, that they are built in a multidiscipline culture. And this enabled the systematic view of the engineers. It's a capability you have to be focused on. And I believe this is the basic to be a good design partner to a small company that collaborates with you as a big company. And what I love to find out during the years, the more startups we are working with, I love to look at Rafael works and then to see how they think systematically and understand what is the needs for a startup to be integrated with Rafael's system, what we decide not to do and collaborate with other companies. And I think this is the right culture to be dealing with collaboration.
Thank you.
I think the first question you ask a startup company, when you meet the startup company, is what is your go-to-market strategy? And if you compare the startups that are working, for instance, for the automotive industry, it probably takes them 3 to 4 years until they reach the OEM that will integrate at the end their solution. In Israel, mainly in Israel, the way that we work between the IDF, the MAFAT, and the industry is such a way in which that they meet the market probably at the first days of their funding. And this is the main advantage. So if you, at first, meet those engineers that will incorporate your solution in their system of systems. Understand the market and understand the needs of the things that probably are not in the science level, but more in the technical level, then you will probably have a much more firm strategy how to get there. And what we offer the industry is exactly that. We have internal entrepreneurs that are seeking for those engagements with the startup companies. They will probably, as we always say, either it's his job or his hobby. He would probably know the physics of the problem that the startup needs to solve even better than the startup company. And this advances the startup many years ahead. So design partner is not only the design issue, but rather the market, the physics, and at the end, understanding that you can support this technology for many, many years ahead.
Thank you. So to conclude, I would just mention that also us in MAFAT, we have an accelerator program with our that is run by the CTO and my colleague Nir. It is called Innofence, where we basically target hard problems that we gather from all around the defense system. And we basically challenge startups to give solutions to these targets. It is run by accelerators, sponsored by the MOD. And nowadays we also have another such program which is called Innotal, which is innovation within the logistics, medicine, and I would call it the important but usually the blind spot of innovation. These programs have yielded many exciting solutions. I'm glad to learn about the mechanisms that you have to harness these new forces that emerge and that you fight, or the NIH, I would say, sometimes one can encounter not invented here state of mind, and I'm glad to see that the corporates are trying to embrace and hug these new entrepreneurs that are joining us today. I would also say that it's also exciting to work with a corporate, because the corporate is not only interested in the ROI, it is also interested in the technology. So it can help the startup, and this goes also for the MOD, for example, and this could help the startup manage to cross the valley of these years before you get to the product. And thank you for sharing with us your strategy. And thank you all for attending. Thank you, Dr. Gold, for hosting this event, and Nir.
Thank you very much.